This podcast is brought to you by Primary Arms. Primary Arms seeks to provide the best shopping experience for everything firearms. With over 13,000 products from over 400 top brands, Primary Arms carries a complete selection of rifles, handguns, firearms parts, shooting gear, apparel, and more. Every order comes with a commitment to superior service, backed by fast shipping and an expert support team. Primary Arms, serving freedom since 2008. Find out more at frn.deals/PA. Welcome to the AR-15 podcast. This show is for you if you just bought your first rifle or if you've been building them for years. There is something we can all do to take our black rifles to the next level. My name is Nick Dooley, and I am joined, as always, by my co-hosts, Garth Over.
How we doing?
And Tyler Brockle.
Hey, everybody.
How are we doing today, guys?
You know, I'm really happy because after 12 long months, I received word from the ATF that my tax stamps are in, and now I can go pick up 2 of my Yankee Hill suppressors.
Oh,
So
nice.
I was going to do it today, and it just got too busy in the day. So tomorrow, hopefully, I can go grab those things.
Well, that is always a good thing.
Yeah, so it's a good day in my book.
Right on. Yeah, and actually not much going on here. I really didn't do anything this last week other than just kind of play in the snow with the kid all weekend. It's freaking cold here, so not outside really doing anything except little snow sports. That's about it. You?
Well, I would say I didn't do anything, but that wouldn't exactly be true. I spent a lot of time buried in my office, and I did a fair bit of working on guns, mainly other people's guns. I did get my my PCC rifle up and running now.
Nice.
Very nice. What is that one again?
So that is a New Frontier Armory lower and an Arrow EPC upper.
What type of mags does that lower take?
That takes CZ Scorpion mags.
Nice.
So, well, yes, they do sell a upper that would like bolt right on and make this easy. I did not take that route
Yeah.
because, well, I have a mill.
Mama didn't raise no bitch.
So we got everything up and we're slinging some chips, and we now have that where it is operable. And I found out a very interesting lesson.
Oh, yeah, what's that?
So we all know that the Magpul PMag is the gold standard for an AR, right?
Correct.
They just work. Apparently, for the CZ Scorpion, they are not a desirable mag.
Yeah, that's well, at least they're not Pro Mag.
Yeah, and I have a lot of them now.
The Pro Mags?
No, the Magpul CZ
Okay.
Scorpion mags, because they changed up how they do the retention. You know, like for where they clip into.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at a factory CZ Scorpion mag versus how Magpul did it, there is just a little bit of difference, and it's just different enough to make them not grab consistently. So you'll load it and it's going good, and then it'll just fall out.
Ooh.
So did you fix that, or are you saying you have to go over to CZ mags after you bought all these P mags?
I have to, the easiest way to fix that will be to buy a different mag.
Yeah.
Like, I could probably do some carving and fire up the old Dremel and make something work. But
Yeah.
I learned that early on that it's just better to buy the original mags and spend the extra cash because
Yeah.
you're saving yourself so much money when you buy the Pro Mag and Magpul, and you're like, oh, these are great. And then you run up and you go, oh, this is crap. I've wasted so much money.
Yeah, quality mags are definitely worth the investment.
Yeah, 100%.
So, and that's coming from a guy who pays a stupid amount of money for SIG mags.
Oh, yes.
I believe that's 3 of us who pay
Yep,
stupid
yeah,
amounts of money
y'all know.
for SIG factory mags.
Yep. Well, even when I had actually one of the ARs I was going to talk about tonight, even when I had one of my 9mm ARs, it takes Glock mags, and early on, I bought a lot of the Magpul ones, and they were all right, but they just did not work quite as well as the true Glock brand mags. So
I was into those like what the KTSs, right? The 33 round fun stick ones, the clear ones. Those
ETS.
Oh yeah, yep. I had those too. Yep.
Worse than watching a bullet turn straight up and down in your mag.
Yeah.
And then watching it explode.
Yep.
Not the bullet itself, but there's the mag and it just shatters. And no, I watched enough of those guys run them at competitions and watch bottoms explode out of them and bolts go everywhere. We go, nope, not going to do that anymore.
Right. Agreed.
That was when they were running a couple like really weird extension things. Like,
yeah.
It was a stendo for the stendos. So they would bolt together, like, I don't remember who made it. It was anodized red aluminum, so I want to say Strike Industries, but it probably wasn't. And they would take the bottom plate off of an ETS mag, and then they would slide another mag underneath of it, and this contraption would go around and join them into like a Wonder Twin Powers Activate 60-round mag.
It's kind of like the movie Centipede, but with AR mags.
Yes.
Yeah. Right on.
Gross things. Anyway, yeah.
Yes. You just made bourbon come out of his nose.
It burns so good.
But so with that, tonight, guys, in a somewhat of a departure, we're going to talk about ARs.
The fuck you say?
I haven't done this in a while.
Garth's drinking water. We're talking rifles. This is peanut butter doesn't stick to the roof of your mouth anymore.
Well, that's where you put it.
But so when we go through today, we talked a little bit about it, and I know that especially me, but all of us on here talk a lot about building an AR.
Yeah.
And it's, oh no, you do this, and we talk a lot about like, hey, so you do this, and when you build your AR, when you build it, but there's nothing wrong with buying an AR.
No,
that's generally the route I take. I mean, I've had you build myself a few ARs. That's the thing. But no, I'd rather buy store-bought, brand named ARs. It's not to criticize your work or anyone's work out there doing it. There's a reason that companies build ARs. They're good at it. I trust their brands.
Well, and the thing too is they've been tested, right? Like
exactly.
These a lot of them are duty guns. A lot of them are used in professional settings. They've had tens of thousands of rounds with strenuous engineering, and it's been vetted. And don't get me wrong, mil spec is mil spec, right? Like all these parts are meant to go together and whatnot. But you start assembling rifles with components from a variety of manufacturers, that particular combination that you've just assembled hasn't been vetted. Sure, each part has been vetted individually, and therefore you really shouldn't have an issue. But once you put it together as a system, that assembled rifle has never been tested as a system. Whereas when you purchase it, you get that peace of mind, you get that warranty, you get that tech support, you get a lot of you get a lot of warm and fuzzies that come with actually purchasing an off-the-shelf gun.
Exactly.
So the other thing, and I know it's one of Tyler's like favorite phraseologies to talk about,
Oh
and
boy.
that's stacking tolerances.
Oh yeah. Nerd shit.
So, this is one of those things where if you read the internet forums, you will find that there is, oh, if you're gonna build a rifle, it's like, oh, you have a rifle. If it doesn't have this part, it's crap. If it doesn't have that part, it's crap. You need to have this gas buster charging handle with this silent capture buffer spring that's weighted at this, and like go through all of these different parts and components, and then run this ultra low mass, lightweight bolt carrier group. And then you put all of these like the super parts together, and the gun doesn't run.
Yeah.
Because each one of those super parts was designed to fix a standard gun, not to be ran together. So you have all of those tolerances stacked on top of one another. And then everyone looks at you and goes, well, what do you mean it doesn't run? These are the most expensive parts they have.
Right. And the other thing, too, you got to remember about tolerances, right? Tolerances, and just like your weapon, it's built for a purpose, right? And so a competition gun has a completely different purpose than a duty gun. And traditionally, when you're machining something, whether it's a gun or an automotive part, right? Tighter tolerances, can sometimes mean higher quality, costs more, but that doesn't necessarily mean you have a better gun, right? The reason there's a lot of play in especially military weapons is you're going to get carbon buildup, and you're just going to get shit in your gun. Sand, dirt, water, you name it. If you have super tight tolerances, that's not necessarily good in a field environment. So there's kind of a trade-off. Now, super tight tolerances, yes, will give you a better feeling gun. It'll probably give you a better, more accurate gun, but it also might jam easier because of that. So again, you got to consider what your application is and really what you're going for.
100%. Like that is, every gun has a, it's obviously, every gun is a tool. Every tool has a purpose.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I can say that going through because, as the guy who may have more than one AR.
You have two now?
Oh, yep, all the way up to two. Like that should
God
shock and
damn.
surprise everyone.
Nice.
And definitely don't have ones with different sized, anythings. And it's, oh no, these are all this, but it's, different guns for different projects, different things. You build a different gun. Like my long range, prairie dog and coyote gun is not the gun that I want to pick up and run 3-gun with.
No.
Like Tyler, I know you had that for a little while, and
it's a heavy son bitch. Like, I was trying something different, right? Like I had 16-inch guns, I had 12.5-inch guns. I built a 18-inch ballistic vantage barrel with a heavy profile, full M-LOK free float rail. Like this thing was kind of a behemoth meant to have really reduced recoil, long range accuracy. And to be honest with you, a lot of the 3-gun competitions that I go to, it focuses on maneuverability over anything else. So I actually kind of went away from that gun and used more of a lighter setup, and it ended up working. Now that's just the 3-gun competitions I go to. I know there's some out there that start stretching out to pretty decent distances, and maybe that would shine more in those type of competitions. But I don't know. We'll see. Until then, I'm sticking with a lighter gun for now.
Well, yeah, and that's one where we could definitely go down the rabbit hole of our 3-gun builds because
yeah. But anyway, that's not the point. The point is our favorite purchased rifles and maybe
production guns.
Production guns, and looking at maybe a high, mid, and kind of low tier.
Yep, I'm not going to say low tier. I'll say, I think the way that maybe we should phrase it is like
pricing one.
A budget,
Yep,
a mid, and then a high end or Gucci.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, Garth, you want to start us off, and we'll do this in,
Yeah, I can sure do that, man. So I feel bad too because this is my low tier gun that I picked out, and I was doing a little research on it because I hadn't looked up one in a while, and for whatever reason, things happen. When I purchased this firearm, it was $650 all day long, and then I jumped on website. It's a Ruger, and now they're running $950, but Gunbroker still has them in that $750 range. I think it's a solid starter gun for anyone who wants to get into it. I actually have it here. I raided my dad's safe because this is his AR, and it is your standard Ruger AR-556. There's nothing special about this weapon other than it's an AR. It's an entry-level gun, in my opinion. It's got your A2 stock on it, your short. It's got your fixed iron sight front on it. It would have a Magpul rear stock or Ruger. And the reason I chose this weapon is because, without spending a lot of money on optics and stuff, everyone can use iron sights. And I really enjoy what Ruger did here because it was a ribbed front iron sight, so you didn't get glare while looking through the people on this gun. I really enjoyed that. Pretty standard as far as parts go on it. There's nothing special, outstanding. I mean, you have your pigtail rail up here, but only goes to the front. It's your entry level as far as I'm concerned. It was I don't know if I want to go out and buy a Gucci gun. I don't even know if I want to customize a gun. I just want to simply have an AR in my safe, and for $650, this was my pick. This was the first true AR I owned. I owned a DPMS to start. I am so glad I don't own that gun anymore. I sold it there. He got rid of that thing as quick as he could too, because he learned it was garbage, hot garbage, in fact. So this was like the true first AR I ever really owned, and this is what I started learning on as far as a AR entry level. So that's where I'm at.
I think that's a solid choice. I know that Ruger's one of those brands that you can kind of get behind. Everybody knows them, and nobody really hates on them. Like
no, they've been around. Their shit works.
They are. They exist.
Yeah. That's exactly. They exist. I mean, I've never had a bad Ruger in my life.
Yeah, I had one, but that's the safety was installed backwards on a 1022.
Oh, well, you sure someone wasn't just left-handed?
Well, this was one where I was gonna put a binary in it, and I went,
no.
What is this? Like, that wasn't my gun. And somebody may have taken it apart and put it back together wrong in the past, and then handed it to me.
Well, I mean, I've literally done that on a few of my guns, where I've swapped the safety around, and people went, "It's broken." No, it's left-handed now.
Well, fair enough. Maybe I got a factory lefty gun that I didn't know existed.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't have been factory lefty because I bet it's still ejected on the right side.
Yeah.
So, I mean, mine all ejected on the right side as well. I just swapped safeties, and that screwed with people very bad. So,
fair enough. Brocco, what do you got?
Oh, I am going to go kind of, I think, for the obvious one here. I kind of get good things and bad things, but PSA for my budget gun. I have a PSA 9 that I bought, I think, about 5 years ago. Paid $600 at the time. They're about $750 right now. It is a 8-inch barrel, so it is a pistol. And I just wanted something inexpensive that I could basically hand to my friends when I went to the range, let them, run a bunch of rounds through it, let them kind of beat the shit out of it, and then keep it under the truck seat of my truck. And if for some reason somebody busted the window and jacked it, I wouldn't be out like a $2,000 Gucci gun, right? But the thing, I think I probably have around 7,000 or 8,000 rounds on it, and I'm really amazed. For a $600 gun, it just runs. I have never had any double feeds, stovepipes, absolutely nothing has ever gone wrong with this $600 gun from Palmetto State. So I gave them a lot of kudos on that, and I was super happy with it. The reason I went with it, it took Glock mags. I used 33 round Glock mags. It had M-LOK free floating handguard. Just a great little gun. Now, at the same time, like I said, that's kind of more of a plinker, let it bounce around on the floorboard kind of gun. I don't use it necessarily. I don't take it with me when I feel like I would really need a weapon. I was at a training event one time, and I've actually seen a PSA bolt strip. One of the lugs on the Star just sheared right off. The guy said it was only a couple of years old, only had a couple thousand rounds through it. So, that's what I think you get with a lower budget gun. But again, I've been very impressed with the one that I've had. So, I would still recommend, if you're looking for either a starter gun, budget gun, Palmetto State is still a good option.
Oh, PSA is a great option. And if neither one of you guys took them, I 100% planned on stealing that. And
I've owned a few PSAs in my life, and I've always enjoyed shooting them.
I think everybody has at this point. So I mean, they are a solid gun. I will give them that.
Last week while we were snowed in here, I'd picked up a one of their cheapo kits, and it was $350 for everything but the lower.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, it's a full rifle kit. It's a 16-inch mid-length, with an A2 front sight post, and I mean, just like a little mini M4 clone. And my daughter and I put that together for her first rifle, and we're going to drop a CMMG 22 conversion in it to get her used to shooting it, and then throw the regular bolt in it and have her run with that. And like you said, it's a great starter gun. It's a great learning tool. You can always upgrade, but it's a really great place to learn to start because, we sat down at my bench and the two of us put it together, and she drove pins in and worked with springs and got all that stuff. So she was ready to go with it. And we did it on a PSA kit.
Well, the best part about the first two guns we've talked about is they're guns you don't want to get rid of. I mean, eventually down the road, you're going to probably get something a little bit more expensive. That's why we're doing the show tonight.
Yep.
They become fantastic pickup guns.
Yes.
Yeah, I have more than my share put together. I honestly don't know how many PSA kits I have put together.
You've put several together since I've known you in the 10 years.
Legitimately, I have no idea how many of those I've built.
Yeah.
It's probably close to 100 that I've built for customers or friends or people that, it's, hey,
I can go one family alone, you've probably built 104.
What's that?
Yeah. One family alone, I know you've built at least 104.
Probably.
You know who you are. You listen to our show.
What's your budget gun, Dooley?
Well, I was going back and forth. I kind of have two. I have one because I've used a lot of their parts before, and they are in that definitely the same price range, but a lot of people have never heard of them. Delton. Delton
Yeah.
is another just. I mean, their MSRP. They're just like the same thing where you'd walk in and you'd see that plastic furniture with the A2, and it would look like the PSA gun I just built with my daughter, or it would look like that Ruger, or I'm not sorry, not that, or yeah, like that Ruger that Garth showed. It's just the basic run of the mill AR. And again, they're generally going to be found somewhere around that $500 range. And there was a time before, like, especially before PSA like really took off and actually had solid customer service, because they hit a little bit of time where they had some issues with customer service and shipping for a while. And it was just because they were growing too fast.
Oh, yeah.
There, a lot of AR guys were ordering Delton parts, and that was where you got parts from back in the day. And now that's kind of fell off. I used to get a lot of parts from them, and then they were a solid company, and they're still around. I just haven't actually ordered anything from that company in a long, long time because, well, I've moved on.
And what are their guns that you said they were normally in that 500-600 area?
They're normally in that $500 to $600 range.
Is that where they are? Was that where they were when you were buying, or is that where they are at?
That's where they're at now.
Okay.
Like, I will do this and pull up as I hide the dealer info. And you can see, like, you're talking MSRPs and stuff like that, where you're still at that, $600 to $700 range for the MSRP. So you're going to be street price $550 to $600 on most of these.
No, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And they're, again, just a kind of a solid entry level AR. And they're, again, just, it's not that they're great, they exist.
Yeah. Right on.
Very
So
cool.
we moved through and started talking about things, and we said, these are your entry level ARs. If you've never owned a rifle before, or if you're thinking about dipping your toe in the market, this is kind of where you start. You go, all right, I'm going to get an AR. I don't know how much money I want to spend, but I'm going to get this. And then there's other people who go, well, I read on the internet that these are bad because everyone knows that no one wants a poverty pony.
Yeah.
An Anderson, which, by the way, even though I've made fun of them, the lower we built my daughter's rifle on, 100% a poverty pony that I had stuffed in the back corner of the safe. I think I won it 2 or 3 years ago at our handgun banquet.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, to their credit, I've never actually seen one break.
Yeah.
Then again, I haven't used one extensively either. So.
Well, and it's more just, they've got a picture of a horse on there. So it's, what are they? Well, they're the poverty pony.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So if you're going to move on from that, we should probably, let's talk about our kind of mid-range. Like, this is where we start on what I would call like a duty rifle.
Yep, duty grade. That's what I would have said.
Cool. Well, I suppose, do you want me to take it off then?
Yeah, I mean,
Garthy.
All right, man. And I'm just show and tell tonight all the way around. So sorry for the guys who listen to actual on radio. I'll do my best to explain. But man, I am all about the SIG M400 tread. Do not tread on me. SIG Sauer's AR, man. It is a solid machine. I enjoy it a lot. SIG took me by storm a couple years ago as far as the pistol market went, and I went, I don't know if I really want to get in the rifles, but after owning this M400, this is by far probably my favorite rifle in my safe right now. And for one reason and one reason alone, there's just a few little gadgets on this rifle that I absolutely adore because they were thinking of lefties when they did it.
Yep,
And
they're
that is-
factory ambi.
Yes, factory ambi. How cool is that I can release my mag from the left side? That is just awesome, just for me. And so I know they thought they were thinking of me specifically when they made that design. But this gun is it's a solid piece. And depending on what version of it you buy, if you go with the M400 itself, you're looking at about $950, somewhere in there, $850, $950, depending on where you buy it, all the way up to $1250 if you buy the M400 Snakebite, which is a bronze barrel, bronze lower, just give you a little bit more flair on the gun itself. But M-Lock all the way around. So, M-Lock is our friend. We love M-Lock. So, yeah, it's my solid duty rifle. I mean, I can dress this thing up. I've got a light on it, got a can on it, a nice little finger stop with a one-time Swamp Fox blade on it. And this is my grab and go gun. This is, if shit's going to hit the fan, this is the gun I'm going to go grab.
Right on.
That makes sense. And the ambi features and like the feature set you get for that price is solid value.
Yeah.
I think that's where we're starting to see more and more full ambi guns show up on the market. And I think that's eventually where everything's going to go, right? I think up to this point, it's still cheap enough that people have just been, using the same forges and whatnot to continue to produce.
Well, you've got that cheater lever. I can't remember the name of it offhand.
The bad lever.
Yeah, the bad lever.
Yeah, I never really liked those. They were just a little too sloppy for me. But yeah, I think we're going to see a lot more of it. And I'll be honest with you, I really don't want to buy anything unless if it's not ambi. And not because I'm a left-hander, but I really love the ability to just stick my trigger finger out and send the bolt home, or lock the bolt to the rear by simply, without having to do that weird fucking reach around thing where you press the, people who come off ranges know. Clearing barrel's a bitch.
Yes. So again, it's solid value for what you have, and they are a super, super solid rifle. Tyler, what's your mid-range?
I'm actually going to talk about one, and I don't have this gun anymore, but it was my very first rifle that I ever bought and ever got, period. And that was a Smith & Wesson M&P 15T. I think the MSRP on it was right around $1,200, maybe $1,100. I picked it up on a military rate for about $850, $900. So right there in that mid-tier price range. And what I really liked about that particular rifle was it had a little bit more features on it above and beyond what you saw on the standard M4, right? You had a free-floating aluminum handguard. At that particular time, it was a quad rail. This was back in 2013. So M-Lock and
raise your hand if you still have a quad rail gun. Because I do.
Actually, yeah, I do too. I got a M&P or a MP5 clone from GSG with the old who was it? Knights Armaments quad rail that you could buy for those things. So clone, so it's knockoff rail, but anyway, but yeah, that was a pretty stacked gun, I think, for that time. M-Lock and Keymod were just kind of battling it out at that time. But that was a really solid gun. It didn't have all the ambi features, but it came with main pull backup iron sights on it already. It had the free floating handguard, the quad rail, which was what I was all about. full Picatinny rail, upper rail. It had a lot of good features to it already, but my biggest thing was it was just a really solid gun that, at the time, being my first one, I didn't want to go out and buy a $1,800 gun. But I knew I didn't want to get a poverty pony either. So I shot that thing quite a bit. I did a lot of configuration on it. I put in, I was at that time experimenting, putting in, just got into the Geisley triggers.
That's okay, Tyler. A lot of people experiment in college.
Whiskey helps. But yeah, I mean, I shot the shit out of that thing. I think I had it for like 6 years. And what I learned really quick on that particular gun, and I think I've mentioned it in previous shows, I kept adding and adding. I put an Adams Arms piston kit on it. And one day I was just kind of like, shit, this is a heavy motherfucker. And then after that, I started pulling all the shit off and started going a little bit lighter. But no, that was a great gun, especially for the price.
Yep, and you know what else is great, especially for the price, and that's VZ grips. The unique feature of VZ grips is that their AR grips are machined from a solid block of G10. And G10 is great because it's durable and doesn't get slippery when covered with mud, blood, or sweat. The 17-degree grip angle and wide variety of textures from mild to extreme, and color options available, as well as a shorty version for those of you in the 20-round gang. 1911 grips with extreme customizability, standard and slim palm swells, thumb notches, safety cuts, bottom profiles, and more. More than 25 textures and 27 colors are available. Coupon codes are good for 15% off all handgun and rifle grips, and that code is AR-15 pod.
Bam. Not even planned. What's your mid-grade there, Dooley?
So my mid-grade is actually a brand that gets like no love. And when we talk about mil-spec, like mil-spec is obviously from the military. So why wouldn't we talk about the brand that actually makes the rifles for the U.S. military? FN. So yes, well, people might be out there, someone is screaming at the radio going, no, Colt makes the M4. They did. They lost that contract close to 20 years ago. And Fabrique National de Herstal picked it up. So FN America has been producing M4s for the U.S. military for almost 20 years. And that's what is on the side of my rifle when I put the uniform on. So they quite literally are the mil-spec rifle. So if you're talking about a duty grade rifle, getting their MSRP, like you're right there in that $1,200. And well, you've heard us all complain about, our military rifles are garbage. It's not that they're garbage, it's that when 700 people use them, they get used up.
Yeah.
And these are a solid rifle. Like, it's all the parts are there. It's exactly what you want. This is the duty rifle.
So wait a minute, you're telling me this is my rifle, there are many like it, but this one is mine, it's a bunch of BS?
Well, it is. This one's mine until I hand it to someone else.
Yeah.
And
now, with that said, we did just get all brand new M4s, and this was something new to me because I've never had new ones. I've never had to clean. I mean, these fuckers are just white.
Oh, the Cosmoline?
Oh my
God! It's not Cosmoline, but no. So yes, when they ship a new rifle to the military, it comes in a cardboard box, and the
In a
gun
plastic bag.
in a plastic bag, and they have so much corrosion preventative.
Oh yeah.
Is
It's like they dumped the whole thing in 90 weight and then shoved it in the bag because
Like,
it's
you need to
thick.
take it to a cleaning station, right, and just douse that whole thing in solution, because it's in every single nook and cranny, and we had to hand clean them, and we did, and then by the next day everything had just oozed out of the cracks again.
Yes, as Kurt said,
Yeah.
ridiculously oily. They are 100% just absolutely. Why is there so much grease on this?
Yep. Yeah. Pretty excited for new rifles, but be careful. Be careful what you wish
Yes.
for.
The best way to take care of those is to just drop the whole thing in a sonic cleaner.
Yep.
But that is my pick for my like mid-range. Again, you're talking like that $1,000 to $1,200 AR, and that's where you're like, all right, I want a duty rifle. Well, it's not going to be fancy, and it's not going to win any beauty pageants, but it'll run.
Yeah. Fair enough. All right, man. Well, then I'll kick it off with what would be my Gucci rifle. How about that?
There we go. We could do that. We'll do Gucci rifles, and then let's do an honorable mention.
That's fair enough. We can do that. All right. Well, then I'm going to continue with the family of SIG because I wasn't going to go there, but Tyler started off, so I know where I'm headed now. And again, it's just show and tell night for me, man. It's show and tell.
And yes, Keith, there is a mil spec for beer.
You can tell that later. So I'm going to go rocking my MPX SIG Sauer 9mm for competition, man. That is my go-to favorite PCC I have. I run two of them. I run a Black Rain as well as my MPX, and I just enjoy shooting that mostly because it's piston-driven, man. And shooting a piston-driven AR is fantastic. The recoil on those guns are phenomenal. The blowback, I just don't have that. I mean, I love shooting my Black Rain, but to shoot a piston-driven AR is the cat's meow, in my opinion. And that's the whole reason I'll put that at the Gucci level. It's a $2,000 rifle all day long. I mean, SIG's proud of it, but they have reason to be. It's a fantastic running machine.
100%. I do want an MCX really bad, and luckily I didn't buy one before the new Spear came out. So I got my eye on a Spear LT as soon as they aren't fuck you in the ass sky high price.
$3,000 or whatever they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've seen them online for 35, 4,000, I think. So they're coming down.
Yeah.
But, they were like 30 grand there that first fucking week they came out. So
you see, you're like, man, I want that new Spear LT, the MCX Lite, and I'm over here going like, now maybe I can pick up a cheap first gen.
Yeah, I've thought of that too, because I'm like, sweet, this means the MCXs are going to be available on the military rate from SIG, but I'm just like, yeah, but I'm going to get it, and I'm going to be like, fuck, I really want the Spear. And the only reason I'm bummed about the MCX was they didn't do the right side bolt release like the MPX did. I don't understand why that wasn't a thing on that rifle if they did that with the MPX.
Mm-hmm.
So, but no, I think that's a great one. I had a lot of. This one was kind of the tough one for me because I got a lot of good brands that I really like, but I always ask myself, what's the one you're going to grab at the zombie apocalypse? And I might be biased, but that is my LMT. So I have a LMT shovel nose, which is a 12.5-inch piston gun. I'm with Garth. I love piston guns. LMT has, about the only downside is they are a little bit of a heavier gun because they have such a thick barrel profile, but it's so smooth shooting. And their new shovel nose, essentially, it's a pre-floated monolithic upper receiver, and they've beefed it up so you can actually take off 2 bolts, pull the entire barrel out, and swap it if you want to with like a 300 blackout or like a 16-inch or a longer barrel. But I just really like it because the shovel nose is a very thick diameter that works well with my big ass go-go gadget fingers. Piston driven AR, ultra high end reliability. I think you pick these guns up for anywhere between $2,000 to $2,500, but absolutely worth it. I know that the LMTs are not going to fail. I know because I've shot tens of thousands of rounds through them, going for some other military contracts out there, and they just won't die. So that's kind of my high end. Yeah. Dooley?
This is one where, like, I know we're going to have an honorable mention segment of this because we have to.
Yeah.
But the high end one was kind of hard for me.
Yeah.
Because, like, I've played with some very high end ARs. I've shot a POF before. I've shot, I've shot a shovel nose LMT. Things like this. But it's the one that I really love because I will stand strong on my direct impingement hill. just die on this hill
with all your carbon.
Yep. and everything like that. But I'm a huge fan of Sons of Liberty Gunworks.
Yes, and I am too. I would have threw them my honorable mention as well.
Yep, Sons of Liberty, that would be my high end, and now they're kind of on the low end of that like Gucci flavor, because you're talking, I think MSR, you're talking, well, their pricing starts at like $1,776. And I mean, that's a solid rifle for that amount of money. And when you're bumping up on $2,000, we're at the high end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's where I think it is, because again, I've talked a lot about like value, and there's some of that stuff where Knights Armament, man, they did some really cool things. Like they got a standardized platform for an AR-10 style or AR-308, LR-308. We can't even decide what to call the 308 AR variants. But they did, they married up, and them and DPMS made we're DPMS use their magazine, however you want to, parcel that out, and did somewhat of an industry standard for a 308 AR mag when there used to be 3. But, Knights Armament stuff, yeah, it's super awesome and cool. I am not going to pay $3,000 for an upper.
No,
like it's. I mean, it better be able to shoot lights out, and I'm not going to say that. I have maybe found one shot out upper that I could shoot better than.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of great guns at lower prices. But with that said, I've never shot a Knights. I've got some good shit, but I'm not to that point.
Yeah, I'm not at that level. And someday maybe I will be, but for the rest of us, I'm gonna this is where I think it is. This is again where that super value comes in, because I mean, it'll do everything you ever ask of it and more. Oh, sorry about that. Jan snuck up on me.
I agree. I mean, you don't have to spend a lot of money on an AR to have it functional and built. I mean, they're so customizable nowadays that you can really turn any gun into what you want.
Yeah.
Within reason.
And for most people who are just, even if you're going to the range quite frequently, a lot of these lower end guns will work.
Yeah.
Well. A lot of these higher end guns that aren't like supposed to be tricked out for competition, they're meant for being in really austere environments, right? Just chewing on desert sand, being in the mud.
Austere means bad.
Yes. Yeah. Been watching too many PowerPoint briefings on the Middle East recently. But so I mean, for the majority of people out there who are just want to go to the range and plink around, shoot local competition, 3-gun, stuff like that. I mean, these entry level guns are even great for that, and I'm sure there are a lot of people out there still running them. I mean, even we have Aero Precision and Andersons that we're rocking at different events, and they work absolutely great.
I have more Aero Precision guns than like anything else.
You do.
Yeah.
Like I have a lot of arrow rifles. And
it's good stuff. I mean, it's good stuff for a good price. And
yeah, I mean, and now granted, again, this gets into the build versus bot, because I'm like, man, you give me an arrow receiver set and like a Roscoe barrel, and I'll do the rest.
Yeah.
But
all right, should we go through our honorable mentions?
Yeah, go ahead, Tyler. Kick it off, man.
I POF. I was thinking of one. I some of the stuff that POF has in their weapons. First off, I think they're like the overall look of their weapons really cool. And they got some of their like roller cams and stuff in there that reduce friction within the operating system. I think that's really cool design features, but the one that I really kind of settled on for my honorable mention would be Cobalt Kinetics. Now they are definitely in that. I think they start off at like around $1,800, go up to $2,500. So I'd put them in the higher end, but you are getting a lot for that gun. They're a company that puts in a lot of components that you're going to put in already. Geissele trigger, Radian Raptor charging handle, just to name a couple. But what I really like about them is what's the term, Dooley, like for arrows enhanced upper receivers? Is that kind of what's that term for where the
it's
hand
not
guard?
What some people would talk about would be like it's an almost monolithic, but it's not. It's the way their barrel nut system is standalone, so it puts the tension on the receiver, not the barrel nut.
Yeah. So your hand guard bolts to the upper receiver instead of bolting to the barrel nut, which bolts to the upper receiver. Aero Precision calls that an enhanced upper receiver, but I don't know if there's a general term out there yet, because obviously Aero Precision is not the only manufacturer on the block doing that.
Yeah, they just added an extrusion and then put internal threads inside of that extrusion so that you could thread it into that, and then your pressures actually hold different to it.
Yep.
I have talked ad nauseum about that before, and
but anyway, great company, great gun all around. But that's kind of the biggest and coolest design aspect that they do. And I've actually got to shoot their stuff quite a bit this last summer, and very impressed with what they have, and that's why they're my honorable mention.
All right, Garth, what's your honorable mention?
Yeah, actually, I'm going to go back to a Ruger, and this one is actually a discontinued gun. So if you find it out there, buy it, man. This is one of the few guns I have seller's remorse for. I owned a Ruger SR 5.56 quad rail piston driven gun, man, and I adored that gun. It was a heavy beast. It was definitely a bench gun. It was a coyote gun all the way around, in my opinion. But boy, am I kicking myself to this day that I ever got rid of that gun. That was one of my favorite AR platform rifles I ever owned. Just because, I mean, quad rail, before M-Lock got super huge, that's what I really wanted. And yeah, then M-Lock came out, and I went, oh, I don't need this big heavy thing anymore, and I've regretted it ever since. It's been 5 years now since I've let that thing go, and ugh, awful. But I just get frustrated with myself. It was such a nice gun, and I paid top dollar for it at the time, which was like $1,600, and a couple years ago, I had a friend pick one up for $1,100, and I've been trying to get him to sell it to me ever since. And he knows what he has, and damn it. So good for him.
Yep. Mick, we'll get to your question in just a second, I promise. But as far as my honorable mention goes, like Tyler talked about, POF and stuff like that, and some of their roller lock. One of the coolest things I've seen in the PCC market, and that would be the CMMG with their radial delayed blowback.
Oh, that's a good one.
I've shot one of those. Actually, the one of those I shot was a machine gun, and it fed off their where they change out the guts of a PMag to make it be 9mm. And the only thing I don't like about that is the plastic ejector. But that is a super, super solid setup. And like you get that innovation, and that's what drives things forward. So like I'm a huge fan of that. But I like that's the CMMG guns are again a solid value. You're in that like same mid-level, where you could be pushing with that stuff, and I'm a big fan. Like I've never had a bad CMMG product.
That's solid.
I still need to shoot one. I think you need to get one of those, Dooley.
You say that like I haven't mathed out how to do all of this and been like, okay, because they actually will sell like a bolt and barrel setup, because like the math that went into that is insane. It's each chamber, like the chamber and bolt or barrel extension, chamber flutings, as that goes up for lockup, is different for different lengths. So if you have a 16-inch gun or an 8-inch gun, you can't just pull the bolts back and forth.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like they're actually designed because of how that radial delay works.
Mm-hmm.
It's specific to like the degrees, and like, okay, no, but it'll have this amount of twist for this length, and that way they get the proper dwell time, and you don't have like, pop coming out of port pop.
Right.
I could really continue to nerd out because like I really dig mechanical things.
Oh yeah. Well, like I said, like I hate the gun, but I like the ingenuity of like the Chris Vector, right? Which was developed in 2008. And then this radial delay blowback from CMMG that came out in what, 2018-ish?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So after 100 plus years of gun design, people are still coming out with really innovative stuff that is completely different, has its own special benefits, and it's really cool when something like that comes on the market, I think.
So you're talking about stuff like that. There's a gun that came from, is it Slovakia? Something like that. It's just starting to get imported here to the US. And it is out there, man. Like it looks like a Scar and a Bren had a baby. And like, but it works.
Huh.
And it uses an AR-15 barrel. so you can do all of the and bolt, like the actual not carrier, but the bolt.
Okay.
So you can do barrel swaps and do all that stuff. But it's direct impingement to the like right in front of the barrel nut, where because you use a standard gas block and gas tube, and that's where it runs into a short stroke piston, which runs like a scar type. It's like Scoville arms or something like that. Let me see if I can find it quick.
Scoville. Huh. That's it. I mean, what's trying to wrap my head around that? So I guess that would lighten up. Basically, it would reduce the amount of weight out on the barrel because I don't have this heavy gas block and gas piston plug and piston rod. So that would be the benefit. But you're just relocating where the blow off is essentially, right? Because you're pushing the gas all the way back down the barrel into a piston.
Oh yeah, it's
interesting. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to.
Yeah, it's one of those like you definitely kind of do a what is again where I come back to how do you get the beans over the Frank? You know what I mean? Like that's kind of where you come back to. It's well, this is something entirely that I was not expecting to have or to talk about. And it's just one of those where I went, well, this is a very odd thing. And I really want to get down with it and run it more. It sounds incredibly interesting to me.
Well, what's the name of it?
Was it the pre-run X16? Let me look. I'm trying to find the. Okay, yes, it's the Kaiser Arms.
Kaiser Arms.
I will pull it up here on screen so everyone can look at it since we've been. Oh, I don't want to slide. I want to share my screen. So, if you look on screen, this is again, it's about a $2,000 rifle, and it has that like scar.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what I said. It looks like a Scar and a Bren had a baby. But what they did, because I listened to and know a guy who has one of these. Like he got one. He bought one of these. And they just took an AR like for the US portion of the lower receiver.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they cut the buffer tower off.
Huh.
Like that's an AR lower that they just lopped the threads for the buffer.
Why not?
Well,
it makes sense because then you can use all AR lower parts in that, in that lower triggers, selector switches, mag releases. It's smart.
Yeah, but it runs back to it's a hybrid gas system. Where it comes back to right in front here, and that's where your short stroke piston starts.
Ah, interesting.
It's ugly as sin. I kind of want one.
It's terrible. I need it.
I didn't think it looked that bad.
I know, but
I've seen worse looking guns out there.
I know.
I've had better.
All right.
I've seen worse guns too. I had a high point come in today.
Oh yeah.
What? For who?
They shall remain anonymous.
Oh, well, I mean, not for you though, is what you're saying.
No.
Okay. I was like, All right, we leaving Mick in suspense, or are we going to answer this?
So the Aero Precision buffer tubes that have drain holes, they're not the only company that does it. I've seen it in some other ones. Specifically, well, they were carryover from A2 style, because if you were running a full-length stock, you would screw into the back of the tube, which always left a hole there.
Mm-hmm.
So you would see holes in the back of some other benefits. I thought that was a finger, not a thumb.
That's what she said.
But it's the thought process behind it can be great, because it's, if you are actually out in something where you're doing maritime operations,
Mm-hmm.
then yes, by all means, you need to have that place for water to go. Or if you live in a place where is kind of swampy, I would recommend it. If you are worried about having a hydro lock factor, dude, it's an AR, not a clock. Break out a drill bit.
Yeah, I guess I would say, again, it depends on your operating environment and what you're going for. So if you're getting into a lot of water, absolutely, I can definitely see the benefit to it. Now, with that said, the lower receiver is not watertight by any means. So, I mean, it's going to leak out between, if you do get it full of water, I think it's going to pretty easily leak out in between the upper and lower receiver. That shouldn't be an issue. Playing devil's advocate, now you have a hole at the end of the gun where I'm more likely to put my buttstock into the dirt than I am to fully get it submerged, right? So there I've just created an opening where I can get more dirt, sand, whatever into my buffer, into the action of the gun. Now that depends what type of stock you have, obviously, so that would minimize it. If you're rocking a Magpul CTR or something like that, that rubber butt pad's also going to protect that drain hole. But if you're rocking the standard A2, it's completely open on the backside. You could be exposing that, but that's just devil's advocate. It is a small enough hole that I don't think it would matter too much, but that's my 2 cents.
I have no heartburn with it. I have also not sought it out to have it.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. So does it benefit? Yes. Have I purposely searched for that feature in a stock? No. Yeah.
Yes.
Totally up to the operator, I think, on that one.
Yes, this comes down, and file this under I care, just not that much.
Yep.
But you know what I do care about? I do care about gear, and TacPack is a monthly gear drop straight to your door. Each month, they send a new box with tons of new gear. So whether you're into survival gear, knives, gun cleaning, or gun parts, TacPack always has gear for you. All codes will let new subscribers get an additional $70 in free gear that will ship separately from your first monthly TacPack. Only valid for new box subscribers, and this code is AR-15 podcast.
Good stuff.
Yep, and that's no problem, Mick. I'd like to say that's what we're here for. We try and be interesting.
Yeah, go with
that.
I like those kind of questions. I mean, that's a very specific thing that we can actually rabbit hole on. I like it.
Yes, and it's not like some other random rabbit hole that I've been known to run down. Because it's my brain is just like 10,000 border collies with 5,000 lasers.
Oh yeah. You know,
Unless it's your border collie, then it's your shadows.
and this is my week, right? Like I'm all about guns and optics, and then Dooley comes in, he goes, "Hey, do you have comms yet? Have you looked into ham radio?" And all of a sudden I have a new fucking hobby. Just like that.
Yeah.
And now I'm looking at the internet to get my license and blah blah blah, and I already have enough shit to do.
You're welcome. But when we talk about that, the reason why we talk about, ham radio and some of those things is about being prepared. And, if you want to be truly prepared and keep you and your loved ones safe in these uncertain times, there's a way to do that, and that's Predator Armor. Are you looking for a full kit setup or just to upgrade what you have? Then you need to look at Predator Armor. Quality American-made armor and accessories, not some cheap junk from across the Pacific. From lightweight, flexible backpack armor to full plate carriers with plates, IFAKs that are prepped and ready to go, and more. Predator Armor has it all. Use code AR-15-10 for 10% off.
Yep. Got their soft armor in one of my backpacks, and I freaking love it. I can't even tell that it's in there.
Yes, and I can say that we set up one of their plate carriers last weekend, and those shoulder pads, like I wish I could buy just those shoulder pads.
Yeah.
Because I would pull the shoulder pads off of my Cry Precision setup to put theirs on.
Yeah, it's like fucking Serta mattress foam in those bitches.
Yes. So Garth, anything else?
Yeah, we got an email this week from one of our affiliate programs. And guys, if you want to check out Faxon Firearms, they are doing a special right now. Faxon Xmas 15 for 15% off through Christmas Eve. And guys, they have a fantastic selection of barrels and other parts on their website. As you guys were just listening, you want to gooch up an AR or a pistol, go check out faxonfirearms.com.
I do thoroughly enjoy Faxon barrels.
So I'm gonna order like 4. Well, I was gonna order 2 pistols anyway, but now, I mean, if I get an AR barrel too, why not?
Yeah.
Yep, I've used them before. They are one of my top 2 barrels I have.
Need to get that free shipping. Just throw in an extra barrel to get yourself there, and you're saving money.
Exactly.
Bam.
Yeah, I'll spend $100 to save 30.
Yeah.
I will.
Economics. My wife does the same shit at Target, so why can't I?
And that's why I have generational amounts of magazines. All right. Well, Garth, I think we got one more we have to talk about here.
We do have to talk about one. We have to talk about Patriot Patch, patriotpatch.co. Guys, if you are watching this live broadcast, for the tens and tens of people out there, you can look at Dooley's microphone and see the Patch of the Month Club for this month, December, which is a fantastic Santa Claus badass mofo.
Yeah, Santa.
Yeah, bad Santa. On top of the Patch of the Month Club, they have tins, which are also behind Dooley. They have T-shirts, stickers, morale patches, pop culture patches. They have it all, guys. Go check those guys out at Patriot Patch, patriotpatch.co.
And don't forget to check us out, Facebook at AR-15 Podcast, Instagram and YouTube at AR-15 Podcast 2.0. If you ever want to get in touch with us, send us any questions. We're happy to answer anything that we can for you, give our opinions on anything. AR-15 Podcast 2.0 at gmail.com. You can find us on firearmsradio.net and any of your podcast programs on your mobile device, and also on Spotify.
Yes, and for anyone that was curious, when we say AR-15 2.0, that is AR-15 Podcast 2.0.
Yep. And we have to tell them why they need to listen next week.
Yes, next week, I believe Tuesday,
Next week, Tuesday.
At 8 p.m. Central, we will be coming live on the air. And this will be a very special show.
Because we'll be together.
All in the booth together.
And Garth is bringing the blackened bourbon this time around.
Yeah, I can do that.
Together again.
But anyway, our friends over at Primary Arms have hooked us up with some, with a pretty cool item. As you guys know, last month we gave away a Primary Arms scope. We got some other cool stuff to give away, but
I think he roboted out on us.
He just froze.
But what he was trying to say is we're going to give it away live on the air. And so it's going to be all about listener interaction. So, guys, you'll have to be here in the comments on the Facebooks or the YouTubes talking with us as we go through this.
And so we will be doing that show live at 8 p.m. Central Time, Tuesday of next week.
Yeah, Tyler, you roboted out and locked.
I think I blacked out there for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was perfect.
But they heard about the free shit, right?
Yes.
Yes. There?
Yes.
Sweet. And I'm good.
Yes, we did. So, well, guys, you got anything else?
Sure don't, man.
No.
All right. Well, you folks out there, you stay safe and stay armed.